Genesis 7, the Lord said to Noah, "Come into the ark, you and all your household, for I consider you godly among this generation. You must take the 7 pairs of every clean animal, the male and its mate, 2 of every kind of unclean animal, the male and its mate, and 7 pairs of every clean bird of the sky, male and female, to preserve their offspring on the face of the entire earth. For in 7 days I will cause it to rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and I will wipe from the face of the ground every living thing that I have made." And Noah did all that the Lord had commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood engulfed the earth. Noah entered the ark along with his sons, his wives, and his son's wife, because the flood waters, pairs of clean animals, of unclean animals, of birds, and of everything that creeped along the ground, male and female, came into the ark to Noah, just as God had commanded him. And after 7 days, the flood waters engulfed the earth. In the 600 years of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, in the 17th day of the month, on the day all the fountains of the great deep burst open, and the floodgates of heaven were open, and the rain fell into the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. On that very day, Noah entered the ark, accompanied by his sons, Seth, Ham, and Japheth, along with his wife and his 3 sons' wives. They entered along with every living creature after its kind, every animal after its kind, every creeping thing that creeps on the earth after its kind, and every bird that after its kind, everything with wings. Pairs of all creatures that have the breath of life came into the ark of Noah. Those that entered were male and female, just as God commanded him. Then the Lord shut him in. The flood engulfed the earth for 40 days. As the waters increased, they lifted the ark and raised it above the earth. The waters completely overwhelmed the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. The waters completely inundated the earth, so that even all the high mountains under the entire sky were covered. The waters rose more than 20 feet above the mountains, and all living things that moved on the earth died, including the birds, domestic animals, wild animals, all creatures that swarm over the earth, and all humankind. Everything on dry land that had breath of life in its nostrils died. So the Lord destroyed every living thing that was on the surface of the ground, including people, animals, creatures that creep along the ground, the birds of the sky. They were wiped off the earth. Only Noah and those who were with him in the ark survived. The waters prevailed over the earth for 150 days. All right, Southside TV Love coming in, dropping the biddies. Thank you, friend. Oh, and prayer time for 10:02. We'll just pause that and we'll wrap it up when we finish this chapter. So we have, where is it? So the ark has been built. The invitation is to come into it. A restating of Noah's position as righteous in his generation. We now have 7 pairs of every clean animal. How does he know what clean animals are? The Torah, the law has not been given that tells him what clean and unclean are, but there's an assumption that the reader knows what the clean animals are. So to call them clean animals, we don't have to go into details about them if you already know what clean animals are. Now, are they the exact same clean animals as we have later? Perhaps, perhaps not. Was there already an establishment that God had shared when they were doing sacrifices, what animals are clean and which ones are not? There's a possibility that it was in fact stated that way, but we don't know. So, but the reader knows which ones are clean, because we know the clean and unclean. So that's all we need to know here. Then you get 7. Now, curious thing. Why do the 7 clean need to have pairs? And in the end, excuse me. Thought that was going to come quicker, and I didn't have time to mute. If in the end they're later going to be sacrificed, why do we need male and female if we're going to end up with sacrificing some animals? Just curious on that part. Altus, it also says, gather for yourself when it comes to the food and the clean animals. It's not called for yourself when it comes to unclean animals. Oh, that's an interesting distinction I don't think I've seen before. So you gather the clean animals, but you don't gather the unclean animals. The 2 of every kind are sent to you. The 7 of every kind you are gathering. That's an interesting thing, but they're all in pairs. They're all in pairs, which leads to some really funny memes that people show of, animals that didn't make it. Also, 7 days. For in 7 days, I will cause it to rain. 7, it's the number of totality. It is going to happen. It is here. Completeness. So the completeness of preparation is done. You have 7 days to complete the work of getting everything into the ark. So I think there is a model there of the new creation that is going to come, of the new earth after its rebirth. And we are going to return to the state of chaos. The waters are over the face of the deep. We'll get that later when you have the bird flying over. You have the wings creature hovering over the face of the deep. So, and we have 40 days and 40 nights, 40 being a time of testing. The whole earth is being tested. It is being renewed. That's what's going to come out on the other side. And Noah did all that he commanded. And then we get some details. He was 600 when the flood. So he had 500 when he had 3 sons. And now he's 600. So it took 100 years here. So his sons have wives, but they don't have children yet. Seeing if there's anything else there. Oh, we get when it happened in the 2nd month on the 17th day of the month. That's when it was. So the 2nd month on the 17th day of the month. Guide the raid. Ashbourne 48. Okay. Why are they called for Noah? It can't be sacrificed since that is for God. So there is something God is saying the clean will be for Noah in the future, but it's not defined yet. Okay. Let me go back to that. Okay, come into the ark, you and your household, not consumed among the generations. You must take for yourself 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, the male and the female, 2 of every kind of unclean animals. Well, it does say you must take with you 7 pairs, and then it does say 2 of every unclean animal, male and female, and also 7 pairs of every kind of bird of the sky, male and female, to preserve the offspring on the face of the entire earth for 7 days. Okay. Maybe there's a distinction you're seeing there in the Hebrew that I'm not seeing here, and I'm not going to take the time to go look it up, but it's an interesting thought that you're saying there, the distinction between the clean that you take and the unclean that are brought to you. Or maybe it's further on when it says he brought them to him. Okay. Noah entered the ark with his sons and wives became pairs of clean animals, of unclean animals, and of everything that creeps. I'm just saying that they all are happening. I'm missing something, but it might, like I said, it might be in the Hebrew there. We have the 2nd month, the 17th day. We have the sons and their 3 wives. Pairs of all, like we get the repetition, like the animals they're mentioning, the 40 days are mentioned, the repetition of it. We get the clarification of the water is 20 feet above the highest mountain, which is an interesting thought if it's a regional flood. They must not have high mountains if that would have been the case. Also, like I said, I still don't see the need to have an ark if it's a regional flood. Just like move and go somewhere else. The waters prevailed over the earth for 150 days. Now, I do not know a reference for 150 being something that is a significant number that shows up. 150. This represents that. But we are getting a time period mentioned here. So we have 40 days of flood, which I assume are then followed by the earth is covered for 150 days. 40 days of flooding. I mean, I don't know how much rain and how high it would be, but we have less rain in a short period of time and get 20-foot high floods. Now, 20 foot over the top of the mountains. I have no idea how much volume of water that would be. And there's a whole bunch of speculation on how that changes the climate and all those things. I think those are fascinating thoughts, but I don't want to dive into any of them. Let me see if there's anything else in the chat today on what's going on. You take for yourself in Hebrew is only related to the clean animals and food. It's just food for thought. Oh, I appreciate that. I was assuming it was, and it wasn't getting translated in the English here. So it is for the clean animals and for the food. You are to gather the food. Yeah, well, obviously, he gathers the food for the animals as well, for his family and for the animals. How long would that take to gather all of the food? How much food would you need? Which is one of those things that people ask, and how would all these animals behave on an ark for a year? And whoo, you have some crazy things to figure out there. I wonder if he brought salt on the ark. Imagine a year without salt in your food. Well, he also could have just reached into the ocean anytime he needed and got salt too. So, you just bring a bucket, let it dry out. You could be making salt on your own all the time, potentially. Mama Bell, good morning, Pastor. Thank you. Welcome in, Mama Bell. Okay, any more thoughts here? It does lay out here in detail everything that has life in it, life in its nostrils, that has breath. It reads, breath of the breath, life, spirit of life. The breath of the breath or spirit of life. The Vulgate and the Septuagint, Nishmat Kayim, either the LXX translator omitted translating of both words because they are similar in meaning, or the omission in the LXX shows that the inclusion of it in the Masoretic text is an addition. Okay. So we have breath of life or breath of the spirit of life, which is interesting. So, but since it is all creatures and all creatures are mentioned here in some detail, the birds are going to be wiped out because they will have no place to rest. Now, okay, that makes sense. But some birds, seabirds, could float, and some birds could float on the floating debris that would be out there. So maybe they could survive in some way. The fish and all the sea creatures are fine. Oh, maybe they're not, because maybe a lot of them are going to die off because of the amount of fresh water and seawater mixing together is going to cause a problem. Or perhaps there's an idea that maybe there wasn't as much salt in the water to begin with, and that both fresh and saltwater sources were closer together, so it doesn't affect fish in that manner. But even if you have mudslides and other things and diluting of water, and it's going to be murky, brackish, all of those things. So it's going to be you just start going through all of the chaos. What we have is chaos being the prominent thing that overtakes the earth, and then we're going to continue to move forward with God restoring order from chaos, which is what happened in creation, is he put order where there was chaos, and now we're going to have that duplicated again as we get to the other side of the story. Hope that makes sense. Dragonkin, morning. Hope you're doing well. I am, and I hope you are as well, sir. Hope you are as well. Now, interestingly enough, if the Nephilim are part of the thing that is supposed to be destroyed here, why is it not specifically mentioned in the list of things that are here? Why does it not say that the offspring of the Nephilim or the Rephaim are, but it does say that everything that has life in it? So if they are, and there's lots of other mythologies out there that have the gods coming down and having offspring outside of this possibility in Genesis, they would be not immortal is the thinking in everybody's estimation, including in maybe immortal, like the sense that elves would not die of natural cause or disease, but they could be killed. That kind of immortal, the status that they have. So the flood could have wiped them out. They are around afterwards. So does that same thing happen afterwards, that they're around afterwards? you get some speculation and some unanswered questions. If it's a regional flood, well, then you have some answers to it. If it's a global flood, it has to happen again, and it doesn't specifically say it happened again. It just says they were also there later. So it depends on how you view all these things. Is it a spiritual possession that comes in and they do it? Is there a physical manifestation? If you're not familiar with any of this and it's confusing to you and all of that, you can just simply read it as a destruction because there's evil, which is true, because that's what it says. Okay, there we have